you ever have those moments where you think to yourself, like, I really wish I was anybody making this mistake besides me? Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time with us, my name's Elena, and today, obviously, we are working on the second speed build that I've ever posted to my channel. I am at the level of lazy. It's kind of that point in the semester where I actually haven't even posted the first speed build at the time of recording, but that was an orange solid color build, and because I have no creativity and a lot of energy to procrastinate with, I'm just building another solid color speed build because I think it's fun. Like, it makes you use stuff that you wouldn't use otherwise. And I really just need, like, I'm at baby steps in the building journey. Like, I don't know what I'm doing at all. I don't know, like, what's available. I don't know. I, like, forget things, like trash cans and mailboxes and stuff. So this is boot camp. This is builder's boot camp for me. But yeah, so we built a little red guy. He's, like, he ended up kind of reminding me because one of the biggest problems, there's always, like, one pinch that you get into with a solid color build. I feel like there's always, like, one or two, like, essential things that they just don't have in that color. And for this one, all of the roofs are horrific. Like, all the red roofs just really were not, they weren't blowing my skirt up, you know what I mean? And it's really hard because with orange, like, with any of the other colors, really, there's a couple of shades that you can go with. You know, you've got, like, even with the orange one, I thought that was going to be really hard because I generally don't think of orange as, like, a cute color that I would want to, like, live in. But with orange, there's, like, the very pale, like, stucco orange. So, you know, and they have all the, like, the Spanish themed, like, fencing and stuff, which has, like, the bricks on top. And so there's a nice contrast going on. But with red, like, there's just red, you know? There's no... They have a light red. It's called pink. So you don't have any options of, like, shaking up, you know, making it kind of, like, pastel in some places and, like, full, like, saturation in others, and then, like, that makes it kind of bearable to look at. There's none of that. Like, your house just looks like a fire engine, or it doesn't. Or actually, no, there's no option where it doesn't look like a fire engine. But I ended up with something that I actually am kind of fond of, which might be evident by how long I spent making it. I think probably a good, like, 60% of that is landscaping. But, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, and what I gotta do is make the flowers bigger and smaller and arrange them in a very detailed way. Like, this is not a house that I would want to see if you accidentally installed it, like, with build objects off. Not be good. Not be good at all. Yeah, so I ended up making it in kind of this style that's very common where I grew up, because I grew up in Michigan, and particularly, like, really close to a lake, which everything in Michigan is really close to a lake, but you know what I mean. So there's a lot of this sort of, it's Nordic almost, and like a shingle style. I don't know architectural styles very well, but it's kind of like shingly and Nordic, and the siding, the color that it usually is dark brown. Like, the siding is dark brown, and then the roofing is dark brown, and there's not a big contrast between those things. Actually, the like layout of this house, or not the layout, but like the shape of this house actually doesn't fit very well in the style because it has that very simplistic, like, it looks cottagey. There's not a lot of, like, different masses going on. It's all very, usually it's, like, built out of, like, one main triangle, and then the roof, like, goes pretty far to the ground. But in The Sims, if you don't have the roof, like, at the top of the house, then you don't have any space to live in. So that made no sense, but you know what I mean. But I ended up kind of emulating that style a little bit. So very cottagey, but still not, like, super cute necessarily. And I really liked it in the end. So despite the fact that all of the red roofs are the same exact tone of red as the red, or not tone, but, like, the same darkness as the red siding, we survived, we thrived. And that's why I like the solid color build challenge. You know, it pushes you boundaries. And I thought initially that I was going to make, like, a brick house, because of course, like, why would I make anything else but a brick house for the single color build challenge in the color red? But the only brick that there really is on the front and back porches, which again isn't super, like, accurate to the building style that I'm sort of following right now. But you know, I have no real excuses. I'm just not, me and building are work in progress, like I said earlier. Just you wait till the fun 30-second span where I'm just fixing the front porch. like endlessly. I really didn't know how to deal with that little front section of roof there. It doesn't look great in the end, but it's about trying and learning things, and I did both of those. So yeah, I ended up making it, like, the outside is sort of cottagey, like you would expect an old lady to live there. But then I made it, because you really have no choice otherwise. Ooh, watch how much faster this, like, the floor plan layout happens in this house. In the last one, I'm not kidding, it took me an hour just to get the floor plan correct. And that was an hour on top of the time that I had already spent, like, trying to build, and failing and stopping the recording. And this one, I think the front, like the actual layout of the house didn't take me very long at all. I had a section in the middle there where I had that crisis about, like, oh no, this looks exactly like the one that I just built. And it kind of did, we all make mistakes. But I felt good about the little Simsy trick of just making a box and then make it fancy. Works like a charm. Like, thank you, little Simsy. I will continue to creepily absorb all of your content. So yeah, here's the fun part where I fiddle with the roof for like 50 years. I don't know, me and roofing still aren't friends. I think, like, partially because the massing of my houses tends to be kind of weird, because I don't know what I'm doing at all. Like, my roofing sort of reflects the looking weirdness. There's a lot of stuff that I could almost get away with this, because, like, the siding on the house was so dark, which sounds weird, but, like, you can get away with a lot when it all sort of blends together under the roof like that. But, yeah, I ended up with something that I really enjoyed. So the outside is sort of the cottagey old lady thing, and the inside is vampire, because you don't really have an option that's not that when you're decorating in all red. Plus, I like to use the vampire goth stuff when I can, and it helped me, like, build a little story for the family, because I imagine that it's, like, sort of Addams Family-esque, but these people are trying harder to fit in the suburbs, I guess. So there's a master bedroom, obviously, and then there's a teen room, kind of, which is very, like, yeah, teen girly and decorated in red and black, because there's really not a whole lot of choice there. But their bedrooms are extremely vampire-y. Like, you walk in and you just, especially the parents, I literally just put the entire bedroom set from the Vampire Pack in there. And I don't have regrets about it, but it wasn't the most creative choice. And then the living room, like the main area where kind of guests would see right away when they walk in, I tried to make it very, like, modern, because that's what worked with the red and black. There was a lot of stuff from, like, the kitchen pack or whatever it was that was red and looked good. You're kind of limited with solid color build challenges by cabinets, I feel like. There's just a lot that you can't do because you don't have the right color cabinets. But yeah, so it's like a small family home, and the main areas are a lot less vampire-y than the bedrooms, which probably actually would work well if somebody wanted to use this, like, in like a game, because I feel like people usually, like, delete the bedrooms and redo them, right? Like, that's how that works. Here I am trying to make there be places in this house that didn't look super vampire-y and scary. It didn't work. It's all red. Like, if you walked into this house IRL, you should leave immediately. But there was a lot of just kind of fun random crap that you could throw in that was red in the living room, so I did that. And then, yeah, I just went full force with the red and black. Like, Morticia and Gomez just live here with, maybe it's one of the Addams children just got married and had a daughter. Or a son who just really likes floral wallpaper. I'm not here to tell people what to do with their lives. I threw I love the party bushes, just because they crack me up. So I did put one in there. Don't judge me. I like to give my Sims options for being slutty. It's fine. Yeah, that's the other thing. You realize, like, they categorize things kind of weird in build mode. Like, when you search red, So there's some stuff that comes up that's like, yeah, that's red. And then there's some stuff that like you'll see outside of that search that you're like, that's definitely red, but it didn't show up when I searched red. And then there's things like the public bathroom, which somehow counts as a red build item. I don't know what's going on with that, but you know, we do what we gotta do, and sometimes maybe the sim gurus are a little lazy, and I can't judge them because I'm literally yawning right now. I do apologize for my voice. It's so I go to a big school. People call it like I'm not going to say the name of the school that I go to, but people call it like the blank plague, which I'm sure if anybody who watches this is in college, I'm sure you can relate to that. Like there's always, you come in the beginning of the year and just everybody gets sick right away because you're exposed to all these like the germs you haven't gotten practice with over the past couple months of summer. So it is 90 degrees out and I have a cold, which is a weird experience to have. Like, I get out of my car and it's humid and disgusting and it's so hot I want to die, but I also want to drink soup. I hate it so much. Like, the South, y'all are lovely, okay? Obviously, I respect your culture because I'm already copying it. The word y'all is a treasure that we should never take for granted. But my body is very confused. Like, I want to go microwave myself some soup or whatever, but it's 90 degrees out. Like, what? I can't get a sick tea at Starbucks. It's 90 degrees. Like, I'm not trying to sweat lodge this out. Like, this just bothers me. Ooh, this is the real reason that I'm building. Not to get practice or anything, but just because I get to talk about myself. I don't have to, like, narrate that much. Yeah, I am a little bit sick, and this weekend I have 3 midterms to do, which is obviously why I'm instead spending 4 hours at a time on The Sims. The single video for this, like, the whole recording was 4 hours long. I did this all at once. I didn't really, like, stop in the middle of it. So it took me 4 hours and 2 minutes to build this from start to finish, including all, like, the landscaping, all the designing, all of everything. There was no, like, first try with this sucker. I did have a little moment because I'm kind of, like, I made it very vampire-y in the end, like I said, with the bedrooms, and then I included a pond in the front yard that has a bunch of lights thrown in to be, like, creepy. So if you're looking at the house from the front at night, there's all these, like, rose bushes and stuff because, you know, red. And then, like, there's a red glow emanating from the front chunk of rose bushes. I don't know. I shouldn't ever be given my own house. Or not given. I shouldn't ever, like, be in charge of my own house. That would be very bad. Because I would do crap like this. As a kid, I remember I had a very specific dream where I wanted to, have Christmas lights on my house year round. Like, I always told myself, like, I can't wait to be an old lady, because old ladies can do whatever they want, and nobody really questions it, because you're like, well, they're so old. Like, clearly she knows what she's doing. It's, like, the opposite of being in middle school, where, like, in middle school, everybody's, like, waiting for you to do something weird, and then as soon as you do it, they're gonna, like, jump on you and be like, oh, that's so weird of you, I can't believe you did that. Being an old person is the exact opposite, you know? Like, you do something weird and people are just like, yeah, of course, she's, like, 89. Why wouldn't she be doing something weird? So I had that dream that I would be old and I would have my own house, and I would hang Christmas lights on it and keep them up year round, but they would be purple, just to be confusing, you know? People would be like, oh man, she still hasn't taken down her lights from, wait, what holiday would that possibly be? So, yeah, basically, it's a good thing that I only get to build and decorate things in The Sims, because IRL, I think I can be trusted as far as my, like, single bedroom and my little bathroom. Like, that's about as much as I want to be responsible for. And even that, like, you remember how last time in my cult video I said that I had Dranoed my shower? I did do that. Guess what still is plugged up? I'm not going to call a plumber. Who am I? Like, and you can't expect me to talk to somebody on the phone and be like, yeah, this is a problem that I'm having that you should fix, instead of me trying to fix it, because that's, like, a weird adult line that you're supposed to, like, kind of, like, people expect you to be able to draw that, I feel like, at some point in your 20s, where it's like, this is something that I should be able to fix myself versus this is something I need to call a professional for, you know? Because, like, story time. it was a couple years ago. So I'm like a grown-up-ish at that point. I'm like in my first 4 years of college. I'm kind of young, but I theoretically should know like how to act in public. And I'm going to pick my parents up from the airport. And the airport that I'm picking them up from is on the other side of the state. It is 2.5 hours away from my house, and I have to go drive there, and I have to drive back, and I have ADHD, right? So I take medication for that, which one of the big reasons that they were so like, yeah, you really should start taking meds is because if you have ADHD and you don't take your meds, you're a very bad driver. Like, I don't know if this is universal, but everybody that I've met, it's been like this, and this is what they told me at like the psychopharmacist office or whatever. I'm not saying that as in the pharmacist was psycho. It's like literally a job description where you're like just in charge of dispensing like psychiatry related drugs. So yeah, if I don't have my pill, I tend to drive very poorly because like what is driving about besides noticing the road, noticing the others around you, making decisions that make sense, none of which are my strong suit with my lovely hell brain. So I ran out of meds on the day that I was supposed to go to pick my parents up from the airport. But I'm thinking to myself, like, you know what? This is fine. If we just focus on the road, we can do this. Like, everything's going to be okay. We're not going to crash. We're not going to get anybody in trouble. Because, like, I'm allowed to drive without them. But I just know myself, and I know that it's not pretty. But I was like, I really have to go pick them up. I can't. There was no, like, option for me to not do it. So I get in the car, and it's my mom's car because I'm driving several hours. And my car is, like, a pretty good car for being the car of a college student. But my mom's car is a 2015, I want to say, Toyota. Ooh, I forget. But it is a brand. It's a hybrid. It's a Ford. And it's a hybrid, and it's beautiful, and it's, like, very close to being brand new. I think at this point we'd only had it for, like, 6 months or something like that. And my mom isn't very into cars, but my dad is very into buying things for my mom. So she has this, like, nice, it's a practical sedan, it's not super flashy or whatever, but it's a nice car, and it's new. Like, I drive a car that has a tape deck in it, right? It doesn't have an aux cable. Like, I have to get a plastic tape from, like, an office supply store or whatever, and it's like you stick the tape into the tape deck, and then an aux cord is protruding from the tape. So the car will only process my phone's audio if it thinks that I'm playing a cassette tape. So that's where I'm at. And my mom's car is like, it'll give you a little report when you're done driving about, like, how much gas you saved because you were driving what is it called? A hybrid. It'll tell you, like, how much gas you saved because you drove a hybrid. Also, this is something I did cheat on the TV, but I think that might actually have been the only thing that I cheated on. So go me. So, like, it's nice. It has a Bluetooth audio system. Like, it has a directional, like, it has maps built into the car. There's, like, a touch screen. It's a whole lot. I can voice command the car to take me home. It's wild. And I am medless. And about to drive 2.5 hours. So I get in the car, and I drive. This is how far I make it. I drive to the gas station. Now, I live out kind of in the middle of nowhere, so the closest gas station is 3 miles away. And it's kind of on, like, a very, my town is pretty small, but there's one sort of big road that, like, leads, if you need to find a store, that's probably where it is. So I'm on this road, and I make my left turn onto this busy road. I'm feeling great about life. I'm good. I'm like, okay, let's just go to the quality. It's called the quality gas station, or like quality. We always call it the quality car wash, despite the fact that it's a gas station, but just quality car wash sounds better. So I'm turning in, and they have this little landscaping bit in the front. It's kind of like a very long, skinny triangle running parallel to the road, so it's like you're slowly guided off of the road and into their driveway. And it's the beginning, I want to say that it's late May. And so, like, in the frigid north, things really haven't started, like, growing in the, in full force yet. And I think they were also in the middle of landscaping, kind of, on the front of the gas station. So normally, like now they have a couple bushes there and everything, maybe because I did this, maybe not. But at the time it was just this little skinny triangle that made you turn very slowly was the effect of this, is that you turn very slowly and you have a lot of time to like reduce your speed before you pull into the gas station like lot. And I'm going in and I turn just a little too fast and I'm like, oh no, I'm going over the like end tip of the landscaping bit. But I thought to myself, you know what, like we made this mistake, but we're not going to try and like back up and go forward because again, don't have my meds. Like decision making is not in full. I don't have all my powers, of making choices at this point. So I get out of the car, or no, I get into the parking lot. I hear the crunch that tells me that I'm going over the curb. And my normal car, like my baby, her name is Juliet, is a baby SUV kind of. So I've got like a good clearance under there. Like I can drive over stuff and it's not a problem. But again, I'm driving my mom's like nice sedan. And I hear the crunching noise and I think I'm just going to keep going. Like can't switch now. That's too much executive function to have. And I like make eye contact with a guy pumping gas. And he looks into my soul, and I just see this look of, like, utter disgust on my face. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, same. He just looks totally, like, dumbfounded by what I'm doing. But I'm pressing the gas, just telling myself, like, you just got to get over this little, like, curb of the landscaping, and you'll be fine. And I hear the loudest crunch. And I hit the gas again, and I don't move. And I realize that my car, my mom's nice, relatively new, like very, very close to brand new, nice, grown-up car is tilted upwards. And when I press the gas, nothing happens. And I'm still making eye contact with the guy pumping gas. And he just, do you ever have those moments where you think to yourself, like, I really wish I was anybody making this mistake besides me? You know, like I am a young, like, you know, I come off as very like feminine and kind of ditzy. I'm like a young girl who's like, that's generally not the kind of person that you expect to be good at driving in the first place, like stereotypically. And so I was thinking, like, I wish that I was like a dude my age, maybe, or like a grown up or anything besides how I look right now with like my like blonde, I'm pretty sure I'm wearing a sorority t-shirt and my hair is like thrown up on top of my head and like, I don't even know, man. Clearly driving a car that's not mine, like clearly driving like daddy's money, daddy's car. And I, like my soul like shriveled to the size of like a walnut and just left through my butthole. Like it just, I was dead on the inside from this point in the adventure forwards. So I get out of my car and I look at it from the side and I realize that there was a small rock. When I say small, I mean like it's low to the ground, but it's big enough that it cannot be moved. There's this rock, and there is a ledge on the rock that is about 4 to 6 inches wide, and it is just high enough to catch the little side bit of, you know, like right under the doors, which is, it's kind of like the lowest point of the car. Like on the side, under where the passenger side, like front door was, there's like that little skinny bit of metal, and there's this little skinny bit of rock, and I had managed to catch the piece of rock right on the lowest part of my car, so that my front wheels are very close to the ground. They're like a couple inches away, but I had just managed to perfectly perch my mother's brand new car on a busy street in front of a gas station. I am supposed to be driving 2.5 hours to go get my parents from the airport where they are after a month-long trip to Togo in Africa, where they're doing like surgeries and nice, good people things and like doing clinics and stuff. Like, and I am just sitting there with the car parked, and I text my dad because he hasn't been able to use his phone obviously for a while. Because like Verizon doesn't do service in that area, and, you know, like international minutes and stuff. So I text my dad, but I'm thinking like, you know, he had a connection in London or something like that. So he's going to be able to read this at some point, like when he gets off the plane at the very least. I text him and say, it might be a while. I beached mom's car in front of the Quality Car Wash. And there's people passing by. It's a holiday, right? It was like Memorial Day or whatever. And there's people like speeding by on the street, just seeing this car perched perfectly in the exit, like the wrongest possible place for it to be in front of this gas station. And this guy who was looking at me like I was the dumbest girl on earth, which I kind of was, he comes over and he's like, "You're stuck on a rock." And I said, "Yeah, I noticed that. I don't know what to do about it." And he goes, "Let me try." And so for the next, like, I was probably there for 20 to 25 minutes just with all these dudes, like the helpful dad type, where they're like kind of making fun of you for being this way, but they're also like, "Let me fix it. I love to fix things." Just dude after dude coming in and like getting into the driver's seat of my mom's car and pressing the gas pedal and going, "Yep, it's stuck." 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And finally, this kind man, he was the only one of these guys that I did not hate with a passion. Like, most of these dudes, because holiday, most of these dudes had like a kid or two in their car, and often it's like, you know, the area that I'm from, it's like, this is the holiday where you like take your kids out boating, or like you take your son hunting or something like that. So the first guy who I really hated, his whatever teenagers he's in charge of, they're all boys, and they're in the back seat of his truck, which is the back window is positioned perfectly to see me beaching the car on top of the rock, and he's like trying to fix this and kind of making fun of me and whatever, and all of these teenage boys are just like cackling at me through the back window, and I'm like, "You're all virgins, all right? Like, I might be in this situation, but your, like, voices are still cracking. Stop laughing at me. I'm in college. I'm older than you. I don't deserve this." And then, so that guy had that. And then progressively, like, the guy that ended up telling me, like, "You know, I think you're just stuck." Like, he even had a truck with, like, a hitch on the back of it. And, like, the Midwest, right? He was totally ready to, like, try and, like, move the rock out from under the car or something like that. But really, the rock was, like, very large and very buried in the ground. And I think at one point I had to go inside and, like, talk to the clerk and be like, "I'm sorry, I'm stuck in front of your gas station. Like, there's a tow truck coming. I apologize." And the clerk, again, another 16-year-old boy. Like, the universe really could not cut me a break for this. Like, every witness to this has to be, like, a teenage boy who, like, gets to think that he's smart now because he's not in this situation. Dicks. So I sat there for a while having all these different dudes, like, tell me, like, "Oh, yeah, I can move this," and then they can't move it, and then they, like, return to the fact that it's my fault, and I'm like, "Yeah, sorry, whatever." I call a tow truck. The tow truck is this very nice guy named, like, Buck or Butch or something like that. Like, he's exactly the type of guy that you picture when you're, like, a tow truck driver is coming to, like, pick my car up. He's kind of younger, too. Like, he was very nice to me about the whole thing. He wasn't, like, condescending or anything. So I paid $60 to get the front of my car. This is the action that the front of my car, like, the car required to be moved from where I had been stuck for an hour, was he put the little hitch under it. He, like, cinched it up a little bit so that the front of my mom's car just, like, tipped up literally, like, 6 inches further in the air. And then he backed up. Mind you, his truck could go over the rock because it had, like, a decent clearance. Felt great about that. He backed up so that my car would, like, turn and place me back in the driveway. And all in all, I was hooked up to the tow truck for, less than 2 minutes. And it was the most embarrassing thing I've ever experienced. And then after all of that, I had to go get my parents from the airport, who, of course, roasted me like mad because we haven't seen each other in a while. And that's how you catch up, right? With your parents, is they destroy your self-esteem. And I'm in the car, I go pick them up, I'm very late to get them. Like, they're sitting on their enormous suitcases, which on the way there were full of, like, plastic syringes and, like, surgical gauze and stuff, because they're, like, nice people that go do good things. Like, they're sitting on these enormous suitcases after being on a plane for, like, a good 14 hours in front of the Detroit airport, like, for I think they were stuck there for like an hour, and I finally roll up and they see like the side of my mom's car is dented, like a giant has reached his hand under there and just like gripped it and pulled it up a little bit and then set it back down, just like a little bend like that. And my dad goes, "Oh, you can see it," and gets in the car, and that's the beginning of the 2.5-hour drive. And that, friends, is the story of how me having ADHD doesn't mix well with driving and responsibility and all of those things. And thankfully, my mom's car like didn't need any repairs, like nothing was broken, but I have to live with that reality and the knowledge that a good, not to be dramatic, but I want to say like at least 100 to 150 people passed by my car, stranded there in front of the gas station. And sometimes, like every once in a while, like I think about the fact that I live in a small town, and almost certainly one of the people that passed by me knew who I was. And like they just haven't said it, Like they're just letting me stew and having this secret knowledge of my shame. I forget how that story started. But yeah, so because I have ADHD, I was able to sit here for 4 hours building this house, because the fun part about ADHD is that you can't decide like to stop doing something or to start doing something. Like those options just like aren't super available for you, which even when I take my meds, like it's still kind of a struggle to do that because they provide your brain with like a little bit of extra juice. But you still have to figure out like how to study and prioritize and like make all these lists and everything. So it's really good for Sims building, kind of, because it makes me like a perfectionist. I can't possibly conceive of putting this project down until absolutely everything is done. But it did mean that I didn't do any homework last night, and I have 3 midterms due by next Friday. One of them, we got the questions today, and we have to turn them in next Friday. One of them is in class, and it is about, like, every grammar concept that you've ever learned in your whole life, and then, like, twice as many, because there's a bunch of them that, fun fact, you have a perfect grasp of the grammar of the language that you, like, learned to speak as a baby. So if you learned English growing up, and you, like, spoke it in your home, if it's your native language, you'd have a perfect grasp on English grammar. Like, there's no such thing as having bad grammar of your native language. But obviously you don't like come out of the womb knowing how to label like adverbials and adjectivals and like objects and stuff on a like printed out sentence. So my class is basically just, here is the name of every single rule that you follow naturally, but have never actually gotten taught. So it's really interesting, but it also means that it's a lot of memorization and everything. And of course, like I get all my value and like self-worth from academic performance, so that's fun. And then I have like another one, which I haven't even begun to think about yet, and which my classmates, because they're angels, made like a group study sheet for. Like they made a Google Doc where everybody could like put in all the information that they had. And of course, I'm a procrastinator, and it's next week, so I haven't started studying for it yet, because like who do you think I am? But so I looked at the Google Doc, and there's literally no information that I have that's not already on there. So I'm contributing 0 to this project, and getting all of the benefits of everybody else's like good note taking. So I'm a demon, which is fun. Here I really just threw kind of like vampire decorations in the like parents' room. I like that one is the room I like the least, I think. I much prefer, like, I think I really love the teen girl room, and then I also really like the main area where it's a little bit more modern, because I felt like I actually made it look red without being super emo. So yeah, that's Elena's life. I am about to go buy chicken tenders because I'm too lazy to cook for myself, and then I will go hopefully review for those midterms, or like start writing them or something. I have friends coming to visit next weekend, so I really need to get everything done like now. But again, ADHD, not good at forethought or like planning things. But yeah, this is the Red Buddy. I didn't come up with a cute name for it because I never do. I say never. I've done 2 speed builds. It's fine. Look forward to a speed build of literally every other color because that's the way that I do projects. But But I hope if you end up using this house, please let me know. I would love to see it, like, in-game. It should all, I didn't play test it, but it should all work. Like, everything's spaced out fine. So, yeah, time for terrible screenshots. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I hope you appreciate you. And I will see you all next time.